First of all, thank you for the interview, and kind of just jumping right into it. You were one of the first athletes, first big names to invest in esports as an industry back in 2016 with NRG. And I'm wondering, with the way things have progressed, here we have a name rights deal, which is obviously a big step. I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you feel about your NRG investment at this point.
Well, one, when I make investments, it's never because of the monetary things that can or cannot happen. I was in California, I was spending time with the kids, and they said, Dad, there's this event at the Staples Center. We want you to take us. So, I know people at the Staples Center. I called over there. I said, hey, did you guys got an event coming down? Yeah, coming. It's this new thing called Esports, blah, 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 because I've never heard of it. So then when I get there, it feels like a basketball game. There's 30,000 little kids screaming, and they're watching these two kids play on the screen. I asked my son, I was like, what is this? Like, this is the future, Dad, esports. So I looked into it. And then when I got the opportunity to invest in esports team, I thought it was the right thing to do because, especially when it comes to technology, kids dictate what's going to be and what's not going to be. For example, TikTok. When it first came out, it was third, fourth in its space, but then the kids start getting on it and doing videos and doing this. Now, you don't do TikTok, especially dealing with these brands, they're looking at you sideways. So the kids really dictate a lot. So when I saw those 30,000 kids involved with this esports thing, I just knew I had to get involved.
Is it still the case that, it's kind of your kids and younger folks that are sort of, I don't want to say I guess maybe influencing or pushing in that direction, or have you started to follow the industry itself? I mean, are you watching Call of Duty League or Overwatch or any games like that at this point, or not so much?
I must admit, I do not watch any of the games. I do keep up with, NRG and who's hot and, what they're doing, but I got a lot of other stuff going on. At some point, I would like to just sit down and take a couple of weeks off and just, learn how to play, especially like Call of Duty. I've always wanted to play Call of Duty, but never really had the opportunity or the chance.
Gotcha. With how the industry has evolved, just again, in kind of general terms since 2016, is there anything that has especially surprised you or that, I don't know, that just kind of has struck you as interesting in terms of the development of esports in general at this point?
The longevity has definitely surprised me. I think I saw a stat that said most professional esports only last 3 to 4 years. That was surprising. So a lot of these kids, when they just keep playing, they get burned out. And there's a lot of stars emerging every day. I went to an esports event and they was naming out these kids' names and the crowd was going crazy. I was like, in this world, these guys are the Kevin Durant's and Stephen Curry's and the Michael Jordans and all that. It was actually a fun event. I went to an event in, I think it was, I want to say it was probably Comic-Con, I think. Okay. No, not Comic-Con, the,
E3?
Yeah, E3.
E3, yeah, okay.
I had a little question and answer thing, and it was me and a couple guys from NRG, and the crowd was going crazy. I was like, wow, this is impressive.
Speaking of Michael Jordan, I'm going to transition this right here. I would argue, and I talked with my editor about this to confirm it's not just in my head, that you are actually more associated with video games and with esports than he is, despite the fact that you're both investors. We were talking about going through some articles, and actually as sort of a legitimacy issue, a lot of times we say, okay, here's who is investing into esports. You're always, most of the time, on that list. And so I'm wondering, what are your thoughts about that association? Are you happy with that? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's accurate? Because, and the last thing I'll say on it is that a lot of people, when we were asking, particularly before the sort of like Robert Kraft's and that sort of money started coming into it, even though it's still going on, a lot of people would say, why did you invest in esports? Oh, Shaq's invested into it. So how do you feel about that association?
I mean, I think I was one of the first.
Yeah.
As an alien being, I don't really worry about what other earthlings are doing. I wish them well, but when I do investments, it's all about partnerships, it's all about learning, it's all about growing, And again, it's never about the monetary value about me. When I went to there, I saw something and felt something that I knew would have longevity, because we were just playing one game. And then the guy explained to me, yeah, we just play games, we create leagues, and boom, boom. I was like, this will work. A lot of kids not want to are at home sitting down playing video games. Much safer that way now. But this thing has emerged into something I never thought it would be. And I've been with the General for a while, so I figured the General and the NRG would be a great partnership. I introduced the two parties to lay a foundation.
I was going to ask you, yeah, so you brought this deal. I don't know, is broker the right word for it, but you connected both parties.
Yes, because the General and NRG, they acknowledge the natural synergy, between high octane gameplay, like especially when it comes to the Rocket League, and the need for quality auto insurance at affordable rates. So, hey, cars, affordable insurance, a no-brainer.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share about that partnership in terms of, because what stuck out to us is it being a names rights deal, something that is, I think, an indication of the maturity of esports industry. Also, the fact that they could attract that, to them. If you want to share the figure or the value of it, we'd be happy to hear it and print it. But short of that, just any thoughts on that?
I mean, again, it was a natural fit, to bring my trusted partner, the General, together with the NRG organization. They're the best high-octane card gaming of the world, Rocket League. And, I have recognized the potential for a seamless and organic partnership. So I introduced both parties together.
All right. Just a couple more questions if we have time. One is just if, you've mentioned that you believe in the longevity of esports. It's why you invested into it in the beginning. How far do you think that this industry can go in the sense of, one day becoming more popular than the NBA, or becoming more popular than a Hollywood film? I mean, what do you think the upside is for this industry?
Well, I know now that it's one of the fastest growing industries, and it just appeals to so many people. We've seen a huge increase in both gamers and viewers. And, that's why, brands like the General, we thought it was a great fit. There's a lot of people engagement there. But, listen, I really wish I was the expert that can answer that question, but I do know that it's appealing. People like it. People like playing. People like watching. So hopefully it lasts forever. And
then the last question we have, just on esports in particular, with Overwatch League and Call of Duty League, they have franchises, right? Geolocated franchises. So you have, I literally cannot think of, anyway, teams associated with names. Do you think that that's something that could catch on? Where you could actually, like Los Angeles Lakers, Minnesota Rocker, right? Like where those sorts of relationships could develop between team and fan base?
Of course. Anything catchy that the fans would like to, that the fans would like to be associated with, it always works. It definitely always works. And I think esports is here to stay.
Favorite video game?
My favorite video game back in the day would be NBA Jams.
Fair enough. Actually, there was one other question I was hoping to ask. When you had talked about, that reminded me at the top, when you talked about how you got into this at Staples Center, very similar story to what Rick Fox said about how he got into it. Actually, there were a lot of people who went to that same event. There have been obviously some challenges with Rick Fox's team in esports. Have you spoken to him about that at all?
No, I haven't. You said that there's been some challenges?
Yeah, with Echo Fox.
Good or bad?
Bad. I think I'm trying to be neutral, but like.
Oh yeah, I haven't talked to him.
There's some definite. I think anyone would say that there have been some challenges. They had to fold the team, as it turned out. But,
oh yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and then I guess to wrap it up, unless there's something else that I didn't ask about that you'd want to share, I got to ask your pick this season for the championship.
You know what? Since all the big dogs are out, I wouldn't mind seeing two underdogs go for it, because this year was kind of rebound year from the COVID thing, and a lot of people got hurt, whatever. We got all the big names out. There's only one big name, well, two big names left, Giannis and Chris Paul. But I would like to see Atlanta versus Phoenix, or Phoenix versus Milwaukee, and then the little dogs take down the big dogs.
Fair enough. But do you have more allegiance, you think, towards Phoenix because of history there, or not as much?
I have allegiance to no team except the Sacramento Kings.
Fair enough. Shaq, unless there's anything else you wanted to share that I didn't specifically ask about, that is all the questions we have. And thank you.
No problem. Thank you, brother.